Imagine for a moment the complexities of image protection, how imagery, often personal, probably female, sometimes sexual, is often stolen and shared anywhere. Imagine how that might apply to any form of imagery, sexual or not. There's no limitation, let alone protection, when it's out there in any form of the public domain. Social media, dating sites, but also schools, organisations, everywhere, courtesy of phones, and it's a rising problem. Welcome to Image Angel, a business based on proprietary image protection, which came to our attention when it entered and won one of our awards. And please welcome its founder with an incredible story, Madelaine Thomas.
Hey, Madelaine.
Hello. Do I get the red one?
You can have the red one.
Hello.
You can sit there. You can do what you wish, really, as long as you answer 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 questions, all will be good. Yeah, Steph's prefaced this by saying it is a remarkable story. It's remarkable in multiple different ways, and we'll come on to one of them, which is that this relatively small business.
You don't have to say relatively. I'm not embarrassed. It's small. I'm
okay,
proud.
We're not going to discuss the size, are we? That's a different question for later in the discussion. This small business, its founder has spoken twice at the United Nations. Just hold that thought. What does that suggest about the scale of importance, but also opportunity? Madelaine, all businesses start for a reason. What was yours?
They do start for a reason. I mean, how close are we going?
You would go as much as you'd wish, and if I think it's not enough, I'll ask you another question.
Oh, yeah. So I've spent 10 years as a dominatrix, and it's been the most wonderful 10 years of my life. And those who may want to morally judge, come along for the day with me, and you'll see that it's a wonderfully empowering place to be. But in those 10 years, I experienced intimate image abuse in a commercial space. At that time, it wasn't criminalised. I decided that the worst day of my life had already happened. There wasn't much I could do, and I can't get this content taken down, and I don't know who put that imagery out there. I decided that I cannot just sit by and let this continue to happen to majority of women, people who run businesses and people who have art and protected, delicious, beautiful things that they've photographed or created and put into imagery. I decided I cannot let this happen. I'm tired of it. So I emailed about 50 people at Google, and one of them finally responded. I said, hi, this is strange. I have this thing, I have this problem. I know that there's a solution, but I'm not tech-minded. But I know that if you ask the right people and you influence, you can get what you want, and I did. I had a wonderful engineer from Google who's helped me develop the tech, and now we are live.
Now you are live. So you have funded, I mean, many entrepreneurs, most perhaps at the early stage, bootstrap their business in a variety of ways. Yours is, I'm going to be euphemistic, amongst the more singular that I'm aware of.
Spicier.
Spicier, okay. We are after lunch, that's all right. But it's not just that, and I'm not going to be at all prurient about that in any way at all. It's more that direct experience of what you do and how you've bootstrapped the business, the funding that you've generated from that, is exactly what the business is about. So, I mean, sometimes bootstrap might be about doing other pieces of work for very different clients, whatever it might be, side hustles, etc. Yours is, for want of a better word, intimately related to the subject matter, and it goes to value. But it more goes to sense of personal agency. That's you out there, and you didn't put you out there in that way. Yeah. Talk about that, the psychology of that point.
The psychology of bootstrapping it, or the psychology of having your image out there? Which would you like to
know? I would like to hear both, please.
Okay, the psychology of bootstrapping. I earn enough money to sustain a couple of employees and a couple of sort of freelancers and things like that with my dominatrix brand. And in investing what little I had left over into Image Angel, I just thought there is no way that I can get this happening without more money. How am I going to do this? And then I sort of sat back and I thought, whoa, come on, now, you've got a bit, you've got influence, you've got connections. Get those people to work for you. So I did. So I contacted lots and lots of wonderful people who I knew from my work, and I said, look, you are very influential in this space. Can you help me set this up, and I will do some equity exchange. So there are a couple of people who work for me who just work for equity. But the other interesting thing is we looked at crowdfunding, which could be a really great solution, but it's so important to me that Image Angel is not funded by the people. It is funded by the platforms that facilitate the harm.
Well, just hold that point. Why is it so important? Why not? I mean, having, in a sense, the people who fund your business through crowdfunding being your advocates because they are, they understand, they get it very personally.
Because
why is such a bad
safety
thing?
shouldn't be determined by the price you pay or the amount of money you have. So at no point is crowdfunding going to be an option. That is inherently not what our business stands for.
I think we've all got the sense that's very clear. So that is ruled out.
Yeah.
Let's come on. So again, forgive the language if it's wrong. Clients, are they part funders? Is that how it works, or people that they know? Talk a little bit more about that. And I'm not talking about what euphemism to use. I'm getting awkward.
So we can get more awkward.
Please, not here. Jane
I
says
know. Janie's safe, don't worry.
Shall I be disappointed? Oh, no, I really don't know how to respond to any of this. Shall we just move on to this idea? So how and why? So hold that thought. How might you and have you sought funding from, call them, people you know?
I've asked them to buy my content, and I've said, buy my content, spend your money on me, get the thing you enjoy, your subscription to this subscription site or whatever it may be, but do so in the knowledge that once I've paid off, my employees to do the admin tasks, and then once I've paid my mortgage, the rest, every penny, is going to go towards Image Angel. So I've just asked them to spend more, to be more generous with their spending, which they've stepped up. It's incredible.
I may regret asking this question.
Here we go.
Well, it's a different one, and we've not talked about this. I can only imagine, because I do not know, that someone who is a dominatrix is actually a very strong personality, and therefore might be quite persuasive when it comes to saying, give me your money. Is that true?
I think any woman who's made it as far as I have in the world of business, digital rights, speaking to the right people, is seen as a formidable woman, dominatrix or not.
I think you're quite formidable. There we go. I am going to move on to this area. I'm not going to ask you how the tech works, because in a sense that's both fundamental and consequential. But at its heart, it is about, and again, if this is not quite the right terminology, but it's about digital watermarking. What's the effect of it? So that there is, whatever the image might be, this image, if someone wished to copy and stick elsewhere, what stops them doing that? What would it look like if they attempted to do that, if it has been protected by your
I mean, I've got a
technology?
bit of an exercise that we can play.
Oh.
Yeah, come on. Right,
help?
I want you all
What?
to imagine, this is for everyone else, not necessarily for you.
Okay.
So I want you all to imagine our lovely friend here in his bikini on the beach, looking stunning, and he's so proud the way he looks.
Is this appropriate?
And he's taking a picture, and he's flirting on a dating app, wants to send a picture, and he's going to send one to the guy on Hinge, okay? So this is your picture. These are 3 business cards, and they're all exactly the same.
What?
One to somebody on Hinge, and then you send the same picture to somebody else on MySpace, wherever you are, and then this one goes on Twitter. And you've sent those 3 images.
Yeah.
And they now...
Well, I'm not agreeing. This is all theoretical.
So
yes,
they now
in
have
principle.
a copy of the original. They don't have the original, of course. You still have that. This has gone through the digital system, through the API, and it has landed in their inbox. Now, those 3 people have touched those cards with their hands. And if one of them were now to come and give us one, without us knowing, we would be able to look at that forensically and see whose fingerprint was on there.
But that doesn't stop, and please let's perhaps step away from that very specific thought. But that doesn't stop that image being shared. That exponential number of people might see it. They would still see the image. Its provenance. Who gives a monkey?
Absolutely. But what it does do is contain that person's data. and it's not against GDPR principles to share your own data. So if they're going to share it, that's not a crime against them, but it is a crime against the original person in the bikini, for example. So it adds a deterrence layer. So whoever of our 3 wonderful receivers wishes to then push that further out and send it to the lads chat, we can then look inside that image and see who it was, and then we can put in a judicial system, and we can find out who they are. The problem that we're having when we're selling this to companies is it looks so good that people don't believe us.
Unpack that a bit, sort of, too good to be true type of thing. Perhaps walk us through an example. You've shown a company or an individual, perhaps, this, and you think, why have they reacted like that?
It's so hard for people to understand that this technology works because it's so finite, it's so tiny, and yet you look at it and you're like, I can't see the difference. What are you trying to sell me? You're selling me nothing. It's air, It's code, but it works, and we have to show them like a demo of it actually working for them to get it.
There's 2 aspects of AI I want to bring up. Pretty much most conversations today and yesterday have in some way been about AI. One is how you and the technical team are using AI to modulate, enhance, improve the offering in outline terms, maybe not.
Yeah, there's 2 different types of watermarking that we're working with. One is for perhaps very high value, very explicit perhaps, very likely to be sort of sent out non-consensually. That uses AI on the compute, so it's putting it in with AI. So it looks into the image and it says, where is best for me to put this information? And then the other one, the cheaper one, the one that's a bit more fast moving, a bit more kind of content that's less likely to be distributed, less likely to be really high value, that uses AI on the kind of other side. So when we extract the information, it takes a bit more time with AI.
In a completely layperson's perspective, is there a prospect that it's not, quote, just digital watermarking, but it's somehow, I almost don't know the terminology, digital blocking? So that I may wish to share that image, but if I do, then suddenly I can't see it.
So there are systems that exist. There's Stop NCII, which is Stop Non-Consensual Intimate Images, is a hash network. It's MD5 perceptual hashing system, and you add your image that if somebody is threatening to share it. So one of our people came and they said, hey, I'm going to send this out like sextortion scams. You could add your image to one of these networks, one of these lists, and if that image or the hash of it, so not the actual image, but if that hash matches an image that one of those people go and put online, it will be blocked. There's currently no legislation to say that we need to record how many of these incidents happen, which would be really good. But the problem is that I've solved one moment, is that if you are commercializing that content and you want to sell those images, if you add it to a hash list, you can never put it anywhere again.
Right. One aspect, the other aspect of AI I'd like you to discuss is this, that one way or another, often it happens with technology that the earlier iterations do involve sexual imagery in different ways. I think all the way back to the VHS or early days of the net, etc., etc. And there is a huge amount, allegedly, don't know, of AI generated, anonymized, sexualized imagery. Doesn't that provide competition in the broadest sense, that's non-copyrighted, that's AI generated. That's a whole other world, and that's has been in place for some months, some years perhaps.
So are you saying, does that provide competition to adult markets in general?
I think it probably does.
Yeah.
I am saying that, but then specifically that it in part it actually not helps solve, but it negates some of the rationale for doing what you do, which is trying to take control over my imagery. Well, yes, but meantime, the floodgates are open over here.
The floodgates won't be open for long, I don't think. When it comes to nudify apps, especially, those, there is no logical reason why we need a nudify app. These should not exist. They are on to like the last of their time. Why should you be able to create an artificial child abuse image? It's obscene.
And I do want to come on to that regulatory environment and the direction of travel governmentally, but also large organisations as well. We'll come on to that in a sec. And just to broaden this point, of course, the start point is intimate imagery being shared, but the principle applies to anything. You just mentioned child abuse, but it applies to multiple different areas.
Yeah.
Talk about that, how you see this technology you're offering having that sort of multi-layered reach in due course.
My origin story is in sex work, and sex workers need more rights and protections, and that's why I'm keeping Image Angel to be focused on that. And I'm not getting investment, I'm bootstrapping this because I don't want anyone else to tell me that that is not priority or not important. But this technology is completely, you can go in any vertical. We've even had a school contact us. They use an app to send images from teachers to parents. And those are private communication, as classified by law. Digital communication one-to-one is private, and those images are protected under non-consensual sharing. Priority 7 of the Online Safety Act, if you want to know.
I actually did want to know, yeah.
And so...
And I'm very glad that you do know that. That's actually quite a significant point.
So we could put Image Angel into those types of apps so that if a parent were to screenshot and share it, we would know the origin of that person. We would know who did it. And then we can contact them and we can say, hey, look, this must be a mistake, there's a misunderstanding, can you pull that down from that website? Or if this is part of more prolific kind of type of thing that they are doing constantly, we can add them to a banned list so they don't get access anymore.
Or dating apps, not necessarily with weird shots of bikinis or whatever, but dating apps in general. That's sharing. It's not an intimate as such, but it's a personal image, face, whatever it might be. That also, this would, if not prevent, it would give pause for thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Although it's really important that we are smart with how we apply this, because there are certain instances that people require screenshotting and sharing images for safety. So you may not know this, but there are lots of group chats on Facebook that have pictures of guys on social media, and women screenshot and say, hey, this guy's reached out to me, I quite like him, we're going on a date, is he safe? Now, we don't want that perpetrator or that person in the image to then come back and say, hey, you shared my image and I'm getting back at you, because that's a public image. You can share someone's Facebook profile picture or like dating profile picture. So it has to be very specific where we use it.
How much is provenance a deterrent? In other words, if I were to share an image, that the fact that it's got some sort of digital footprint to me, in reality, I could create some other account, I could pass it on to some other piece of hardware, whatever. I could disguise its provenance if I really wish to. All of this is theoretical.
Yeah, if you
if you bother to do that, then you've lost the thread. It's not me sharing, it's something over there, some bot or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that is half the problem, that there are so many cultural and social blasé feelings about pornography particularly, that it's free and no one would ever pay for it. My God, I mean, we met somebody who said, there's no way anyone ever pays for porn. And I was like, no, they do.
And how many?
Look, they've created a whole business. There are lots of people who enjoy adult content or just content in general respectfully, and there are people that don't. And, it's a spectrum. But this, if you heard down the pub that your mate got in deep trouble for sharing a non-consensual image of so-and-so and such, it becomes part of this cultural understanding that you don't do that, because it is a crime and there are legal things that can happen if you were to do it.
Let's come to the point I raised at the very beginning, which is this business, are we agreeing small, are we saying tiny? What do we agree?
Tiny.
Call it tiny. This tiny business, you and a couple of colleagues, you have spoken at the United Nations twice. Backstory, how did that come about? What did you talk about? And what might happen from that?
The first time I spoke was we were presenting a paper to the European Commission around the rights of sex workers in digital spaces. The more things you can own, the more power you have. Sex workers, by choice, are doing the job they're doing. It's not the best job. It's not. It really isn't. But it's the job that they're doing at that time for their reasons.
And that they choose to do.
That they're choosing to do. They deserve safe working spaces.
But the United Nations piece. So
Yeah.
there you
So
are in.
I went and told them that.
Okay, but no. I want to come back a prior step. There you are in Chepstow. You're building out different sorts of relationships. There's a long way from New York. I don't mean just Chepstow.
Yeah.
I mean just the principle. You as this tiny business. How did that happen?
Well, I worked hard to pay for the money to get the flight over.
I'm going to press you a bit further. You might do all of that, but you don't. Anyone here might say exactly that. They're not going to speak to the United Nations.
It's all about who you know. But these connections that I have through my business of being a dominatrix, I do not use those business connections. I use my established connections as a influencer in digital rights and policy.
I'm going to piece two pieces together which may not connect. Is it that it is because you have a particular relationship that opened the doors? Is that what this in part is about?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Parliament, yeah.
Parliament. Yeah. Yes, I'm going to ask. Do you want to share any element anonymised about? So the Parliament piece. This is it wasn't a select committee. Who do you speak to? Which body was it?
Wait, is this on the record or like?
It's being filmed, Madelaine. So I think
Okay.
that's,
Officially, no, I've definitely been. I've spoken in Parliament a few times about sex workers' rights and the rights to have a safe working space, and then I've been there for fun too.
I'm actually not going to go into that latter point. I'm intrigued, but not going into it. The other part of the question was, and what either has happened or would you have wished to happen from those perorations, these great establishments that you made?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm kind of tired of talking about what the right thing to do is, because when you're a sex worker, people are shocked. They are morally taken aback that a woman would dare choose to do something like that with her body. Well, many do. Don't hate the sisters, hate the system. People choose to do that job because it gives them money. So whenever I go into Parliament, and I spoke with Baroness Burton at the Pornography Review, and she said, okay, you do this. How can we make things safer? Hours I spent telling her how we can make people safer. Then the review came out, and it was all moralistic. How we probably shouldn't be doing this. We probably shouldn't be doing that. Well, you know what tough shit people do? And it's your job as government to make sure that there are safe working environments for them. So that wasn't good enough. So then I went to the Oxford University Fair Work Institute, and I said, you have these scores for people who work in like 0-hour contracts and things like that. Can you make one for sex work? Can I tell you the basic provisions that somebody needs in a platform? You know, they need image protection. They need to be paid on time. They need a block button when someone is harassing them. And this was way before the Online Safety Act started to come in. But it's come in at the same time, this Fair Work Foundation report on sex work. And it shows, it's there in black and white. These platforms that profit don't protect.
Would anyone care to ask a question?
Hello.
Hello. Not related to my work hat, because porn is technically banned in China. Technically is the point there. I'm really interested. I found this a really interesting discussion. I'm wondering, you talk about being very close to a deal with OnlyFans. I'd really love to hear about, because obviously there's a huge volume that you're going to be engaging with at the point at which you sign that. What does it look like for you at the moment with regards to that scaling process? As and when that gets signed, how are you going to scale? Do you have the capacity? I'd really love to hear more.
It's a really good question. I don't know. I'm a dominatrix. I'm not a software developer. I don't really run businesses. Everything we're doing is done with just open communication of, I don't know how this works. Let's work it out together. We've got friends who are willing to be generous with their time, especially the engineer from Google. But essentially, I don't know. I don't know the answers. And this solution doesn't solve all the problems, but we're going to go slowly. That's the whole point of this, to go slowly and make sure we're making the right decisions. So I don't know.
We heard yesterday from Christian Owens and indeed a little bit last night from James Courtney, the power of naivety. You don't know what you don't know, and so you just get on and figure it out. That's an element of what you're talking about here. I suspect that many of you would be thinking, I actually don't know quite how to respond to this. This is you're right at the confluence of social media, exponential growth continuing. You've got the influence in various different ways of AI. You've got legislation. You've got, of course, increasing sense, and one would hope, desire for agency over individual imagery. We've only been in the social media age for 20 years at most, and there is a rising sense that actually we share broadly too much. Do you see this as a business or as a crusade?
Can't it be both?
It's a false dichotomy.
Yeah.
It's both.
Yeah, it is both. You don't start a business unless you've got a bit of passion about it. I'm not doing it to make money. I mean, money would be great. Money means I can do more.
It's an enabler.
Yeah, absolutely. But if that doesn't happen, it doesn't matter. If there is someone here who knows someone who has enough money and would go, here's a little bit and here's my brain and my thoughts and my advice, do with it what you feel is powerful, then fabulous. But I am never going to be at the beck and call of a VC that would treat someone so abhorrently. And even the banking institutions that I've met being here, I said, would you give me a bank account if I was a sex worker? No, they would not. So there is no way I'm going to bank with them as a successful business owner. Not that I wasn't successful as a dominatrix, but yeah, I will stand on ceremony for that. I will.
I feel your passion. There was a question just here, and I think we do need to end this session. So we get the mic to the front, please. No. Can we get sorry, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Hi, it's more of just a suggestion. I understand. So my name's Zara. I own a hair salon.
Hi.
So I'm here for that today. But I'm actually personally a foster carer.
Yeah.
And you touched base a little bit on schools. So it's just kind of a please to reach out to. I know you're on a slow go, but maybe to cover that area.
Yeah.
A lot of frowns I get for asking for photos not to be taken by parents that feel they have the right to take photos of their own children, but then they share that photo, which then puts my young people at a huge risk. So
absolutely. Yeah.
it's just to kind of please reach that.
Yeah, definitely. I was having a conversation earlier on Public Policy Exchange with police force in Gibraltar, and they spoke about the same thing.
As you do. You go from your continuing role that you have. You're bootstrapping this crusade, which is a business which is vital, which is central to so much about how we operate as a society. The degradation of images, the loss of agency to individuals, the loss of value to some individuals as well. It is, I mean, I've sensed it in this room today, that this is, in different ways, an uncomfortable subject to talk about. But it is a vital subject. It is, I think, the most singular of entrepreneurs' tales we've had. And Madelaine, for what you are doing, of course, but also for your courage today in talking through this story. If anybody feels that there is something that they can bring to this, trust your instinct, have a conversation, see how far it goes. And Madelaine, we wish you all the best with Image Angel. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.